I'm gonna kill burnout before it kills you, Nick. Oh! So this is the start of a 6-week webinar series where I will be discussing how we can kill burnout before it kills you. The first thing we're going to discuss today is the definition of burnout, because there's no official definition if you look up to it, and that's why a lot of doctors don't recognize it. Furthermore, in the webinar series, we're going to talk about who's at risk, what are the symptoms of burnout so you can recognize it in yourself and other people. There's the physical signs of it, like sleeplessness, being exhausted, fighting, being aggressive, not loving your job anymore, all of that. Differential diagnosis is very important because I'm a real medical doctor. I can actually give you a list of the tests you should ask your doctor to do to rule out all of these other conditions that might look like burnout. And then we're going to spend a lot of time on the treatment, because the treatment is holistic, needs to be holistic. Because of my medical training, I can give you the physical part of the treatment. Because I also trained as a life coach, I can help you to get your mindset ready. And because I also trained in other therapies, I can also help you with the spiritual side of this so you can avoid getting burnout again in the future. So today, the first part that I want to discuss with you is the definition of burnout syndrome. So there is a physical component to burnout and a psychological component to burnout. And in some definitions, they just call it a psychological form of stress. In other definitions, they describe it as exhaustion with lack of enthusiasm, lack of motivation, which lead to feelings of ineffectiveness, and of course feelings of frustration, and it can people become cynical and they start underperforming at work and are at risk of losing their job. So they get reduced efficacy at the workplace. So very important part of it, that's why we find it a lot in people who have high performance jobs, who are on a chronic stress, like doctors, bankers, also people who work and have small children at the same time are at risk. Exhaustion, the last definition I'm going to mention is that burnout is an exhaustion of a physical or emotional strength as a result of prolonged stress. So in these definitions they acknowledge that as well the physical part as the emotional side is important. And what causes burnout? So in the medical world we call this the etiology, is the origin of the problem. Where is it coming from? What causes it? And it's actually a combination of being exposed to environmental stressors. And this can be stress at work as well as stress inside of you, where, for instance, people are not feeling they have enough time for themselves, so they're unhappy with that. In the outside world, usually at work, it might be that your colleagues are not being nice, you're not getting the career opportunities you were hoping for. So there's a lot of factors involved. Of course, another stressor is moving, having financial issues. And then the second part of it is that certain personality types have an inadequate coping and adaptive skills. And this is also something we're going to discuss, which personality types are most at risk. Like clearly type A personalities, which are high performers, and perfectionists is the second type of person that's at high risk, because they put so much pressure on themselves to perform that it's really hard for them to reach the outcome that they want. So, in conclusion, burnout is the feeling of physical and emotional exhaustion due to stress from working with difficult or demanding conditions. This is the definition in the National Library of Medicine. That's the only official one that I found. So in my treatment, we will address all of this, the physical energy levels, emotional mind treatment, So actually the mindset needs to get into a healthier space as well. I have treatment that can lift your energy, reduce stress, how to cope with stress, how to improve your work environment, and all of that is part of my holistic treatment of burnout. I think that's enough.